What if the only person who could save the Vampire King was a terrified cafe attendant who slipped him a note saying, "Don't drink it"? Tonight's story is filled with secrets, danger, and a love that should never have been possible. Get comfortable, because this one will keep your heart racing. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more stories like this one. Let's begin. The small bell above the door of Moon Brew Cafe jingled softly as another customer walked out. It was a quiet evening, the type where everything felt slow and a little too peaceful. The warm smell of roasted coffee beans filled the air, mixed with the sweetness of vanilla syrup Emily had spilled earlier. Emily Reed, 22, short brown hair tied in a messy ponytail, was wiping the counter for the 100th time that night. She wasn't sure if it was nerves or boredom, but her hands kept moving even when there was nothing to clean. Then she glanced at the clock. 11:06 p.m. Her heart tightened. One more minute. He always came at 11:07 p.m. Not earlier, not later. Always exactly. And right on time the doorbell chimed. Emily swallowed hard. There he was again, the strange man in the black coat. He walked in like the shadows followed him. Tall, graceful, and impossibly calm. He had the kind of face people would describe as too perfect to be real. His hair was dark, his skin pale like moonlight, and his eyes. His eyes were deep gray, the kind that looked like a storm waiting to break. Every night, he came in, sat at the same corner table, and ordered a drink he had never ordered before. One night it was lavender tea, the next hot chocolate, then a caramel latte, then black coffee, but never the same drink twice. The staff called him Mr. Mystery. Emily called him Danger walking in slow motion. She tried to act normal as he approached the counter. "Good evening," he said in a smooth, calm voice. Emily nodded too quickly. Hi. I mean good evening." He stared at her for a moment, expression unreadable. He always looked at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve, but wanted to. She felt heat crawl up her neck. No customer had ever made her nervous before. "What would you like today?" she asked. He tilted his head slightly, thinking. "I'll have rose milk tea," he said. Emily typed it into the register. "Okay. Anything else?" He held her gaze. "That will be all." He walked to his usual corner, the one far from the lights, where shadows pooled like they belonged to him. Emily tried not to stare, but something about him drew her eyes back every few seconds. Even the way he sat, too still, too straight, felt unnatural. Her co-worker Megan, a girl with a bubbly personality and bright yellow hair, leaned close to Emily's ear and whispered, "There he is again. Your boyfriend." Emily nearly dropped the cup she was holding. "He is not my boyfriend." Megan smirked. "You stare at him like he's a celebrity. Or like you're scared of him." Emily whispered back, "I'm not scared." Then she glanced at the man and shivered. "Okay, maybe a little." Megan giggled. "Honestly, he's kind of creepy. Never talks to anyone, never smiles. And why does he only come at night?" Emily shrugged. "Maybe he works night shifts. Then why doesn't he look tired? Why doesn't he ever blink?" Emily blinked. "He blinks." "Emily," Megan said, dead serious. "I watched him for 10 minutes yesterday. He did not blink even once." Emily wanted to roll her eyes, but something about the man kept her from doing it. She finished preparing the rose milk tea, placed it on a tray, and took a breath to steady herself. Time to deliver it. She walked across the cafe, her steps soft, her hands trembling for reasons she couldn't explain. When she reached the table, the man lifted his eyes to her, and the rest of the world seemed to fade. "Your drink," she said quietly. He nodded. "Thank you, Emily." Her heart stopped. "Why, you know my name." He gave a small, unreadable smile. "You wear a name tag." Emily looked down quickly. "Oh, but..." She felt silly. As she turned to leave, she felt his gaze follow her. It wasn't creepy. It was intense, like he was studying her, memorizing her. Back behind the counter, Megan whispered, He said your name. Christ, Emily, marry him. Emily didn't respond. She was too busy trying to calm her racing heart. Hours passed. Customers left. Cafe lights dimmed. And at midnight the man finally stood. He placed exact cash on the table. Never more, never less, and walked past the counter. Good night, he said, eyes lingering for a moment. Gee, good night, Emily replied. When he left, the cafe felt colder. Something was wrong with him, or with her, or with the world. She couldn't explain it. But she knew one thing. He was no ordinary customer. The next night, Emily tried to act normal. She told herself the man in the black coat didn't matter. He was a customer, that was all. She didn't need to think about him or stare at him or... Emily! Megan shouted. Stop wiping the same spot. Emily looked down at the counter, realizing her hand had been moving in circles for several minutes. Sorry, she muttered. He checked the clock. 11:06 p.m. Her heart jumped into her throat. The doorbell chimed. 11:07 p.m. He walked in. Again. Just like always. Tonight, though, Emily noticed something different. His coat was dusted with snow even though there had been no snowfall in town. And his eyes, they seemed darker, almost troubled. He walked straight to the counter. Good evening, he said. Gee, good evening. She cursed herself for stuttering again. Your order. He hesitated. Something warm. Something sweet. Before Emily could reply, Megan jumped in. I got this one, she said cheerfully. Emily, take your break. Emily frowned. It's fine, I can. Go, Megan insisted, winking. I'll impress Mr. Mystery for you. Emily sighed and stepped aside. She needed a moment anyway. A moment to breathe, to stop thinking so hard. She sat at a nearby table as Megan prepared the drink. Hot cinnamon mocha. She watched Megan from a distance, noticing something strange. Megan poured the mocha, then reached under the counter for a small container Emily had never seen before. A dark bottle. Her brows knitted together. Hey, what's that? Emily called out. Megan jumped a little. Huh. Oh, just a flavor syrup. Emily frowned. We don't have syrup in a black bottle. Megan's face flickered with something Emily couldn't place. Guilt? Nervousness? It's a new one, Megan said quickly. Relax, Em. Emily didn't relax. Something felt wrong in her chest. A heavy, sharp instinct that wrapped around her ribs. She watched Megan finish the drink and place it on the counter. Order up, Megan said brightly. For Mr. Mystery. Emily looked at the cup, and her stomach dropped. There it was, an all too familiar scent. Metallic. Cold. Dark. Blood. But not normal blood. Something fouler. Emily's hands went sweaty. She didn't know how she knew. She just did. Her chest tightened painfully. Her vision blurred for a second. Instinct screamed inside her like a siren. Before she even understood what she was doing, she rushed to the counter, grabbed a napkin and a pen, and scribbled the first words that came to her mind. Don't drink it. Her fingers trembled as she folded the note and slid it under the cup right as he reached for it. He noticed immediately. His hand paused. Slowly, he lifted the napkin, unfolded it, and stared at the words. His eyes shot up to Emily. And for the first time since she'd seen him, his expression changed. Fear. But not for himself. For her. Emily, he said quietly, voice low and dangerous. Who gave me this drink? Emily's throat tightened. Megan made it. He looked at the cup again, then back at her. Why did you warn me? I don't know, she whispered. Something felt wrong. Something. His eyes narrowed. Or someone. Emily flinched. I didn't mean to cause trouble. He leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. You may have just saved my life. Her breath caught. Then, before she could react, he picked up the cup, not to drink it, but to sniff it. His jaw tensed. He stood so quickly his chair scraped loudly against the floor. People turned to look. He didn't care. He focused on Megan, who was humming while wiping down a table. Emily saw his eyes turn darker, almost black. "Oh God," she whispered, stepping between him and Megan. "Please don't hurt her." He looked at her like she was out of her mind. "I have no intention of hurting anyone," he said sharply. "But that drink was poisoned." Emily gasped. "Poisoned?" He lowered his voice. "And not with anything meant for humans." Emily froze. "What does that mean?" He took a long breath, like he was choosing his words carefully. "It means," he said, "you and I need to talk. Tonight. After your shift." Emily shook her head quickly. "I can't. I don't even know you." He stepped closer, his gaze intense but not threatening. "You wrote a note to a stranger telling him not to drink something. You trusted your instinct. Now you need to trust me." "But why me?" she whispered. "Why not tell the police?" He leaned in slightly, voice low enough that only she could hear. "Because police cannot help with what hunts me." Emily's blood ran cold. "What hunts you?" she whispered. His eyes held hers in a way that stole her breath. "Something old. Something dangerous. And tonight it nearly killed me. Inside your café." Emily stepped back, heart pounding. Everything felt unreal, like she had stepped into the wrong story, someone else's nightmare. But the fear in his eyes wasn't fake. And the feeling in her chest, the instinct that had warned her, wasn't fading. It was growing. He straightened, his tone calm again. "Meet me behind the café after closing." Emily shook her head. "Why should I?" He answered without hesitation. "Because your warning saved me." And now, Emily Reed, you are in danger too." Her knees weakened. He walked toward the exit, turning back just once to meet her eyes again. "Do not leave the café alone tonight," he warned softly. Then he stepped outside and vanished into the cold night. Emily stood frozen, the napkin with the words, "Don't drink it," still clutched in her shaking hand. She didn't know what terrified her more. The idea that the drink was truly poisoned, or the idea that the mysterious man knew her name even before he looked at her name tag. Closing time finally arrived, but Emily's heart hadn't stopped racing since the strange man left. She kept glancing at the clock, wiping the same table again and again even though it was already spotless. Megan stretched and pulled off her apron. "Wow, what a slow night." "You okay, Emily? You look pale." Emily tried to smile. "I'm just tired." Megan didn't believe her. "Is this about Mr. Mystery again?" Emily hesitated. She wanted to tell Megan everything, but the words refused to come out. Something inside her whispered that bringing Megan into it would only put her in danger. "I'll be fine," Emily said softly. Eventually Megan left. Café grew quiet. Empty chairs, faint lights, the low hum of the fridge. Emily forced herself to breathe slowly. She stepped into the back room and grabbed her coat. But when she pushed the back door open, someone was standing in the alley, waiting. Her breath caught. It was him. The mysterious man from 11:07 p.m. His tall figure leaned against the brick wall, hands in his pockets, shadows wrapping around him like a cloak. But his eyes, those dark, stormy eyes, lifted the moment she stepped outside. "You came," he said quietly. Emily froze, holding the door with sweaty hands. "You told me to meet you. I didn't want trouble inside the café." He stepped forward, slow and careful, as if he was making sure she wouldn't run away. "I won't hurt you," he said gently. Emily nodded, even though her pulse was hammering like a warning drum. "I have some questions for you," he said, tone shifting into something deeper, sharper. "But first, let me thank you properly." "You don't need to thank me," she murmured. But his expression said otherwise. "Yes, I do." He stopped just a few feet from her, close enough for Emily to feel the coolness of his presence. He wasn't like a normal human. He seemed too still, too graceful, too silent. "What do you want to ask me?" she whispered. "Why?" he said. Emily blinked. Why what? His eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her chest feel tight. Why did you warn me? Why did you slip me that note? She swallowed. I just felt something was wrong. That isn't an answer. Emily hugged her arms around herself. I don't know how to explain it. I smelled something weird in the drink. Smelled like metal but not like normal metal. My chest just tightened. I knew it was dangerous. He studied her carefully. Humans cannot detect that scent. Emily frowned. What do you mean? He looked away for a moment, as if debating something in his mind. Then he finally spoke. Sit, he said, gesturing toward a wooden crate near the door. Emily hesitated, but she sat. He took a seat opposite her, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. My name, he said softly, is Adrian Thorne. Emily repeated quietly. Adrian. He nodded. Now tell me your truth. What truth? She asked. How did you smell that poison? Emily's heart skipped. Poison. Adrian nodded. It was ashroot. A toxin deadly to only one kind of being. What kind? Emily whispered. He didn't blink. My kind. That made her draw back slightly. What are you? He held her gaze without fear, without hesitation. A vampire. The word hit her like cold water. She stared at him, expecting him to laugh or say it was a joke. But his face stayed serious. Dead serious. Emily shook her head. Vampires aren't real. Humans tell themselves many lies to stay calm, Adrian replied. But that does not make the truth disappear. Fear crept up her spine. But there was something else too, strangely, trust. He hadn't hurt her. He hadn't attacked Megan. He had thanked her. And her instincts were screaming that he wasn't lying. Emily whispered. If you're a vampire, then why come to a café? Adrian's face softened. Because I wanted to feel normal again. Even for an hour. That stunned her into silence. He leaned a little closer. Emily, he said. There's something about you I need to understand. Humans cannot sense ashroot. It is undetectable to your kind. She looked down, confused and nervous. I don't understand. I'm just a normal person. No, Adrian said quietly. You are not. Emily's breath shook. Adrian continued. Your note saved me. If I had drunk that, I would be dead right now. The alley suddenly felt too quiet. Emily forced her voice out. Who would want to poison you? Adrian's jaw clenched. Old enemies. Or new ones. I do not know yet. Emily played with the edge of her sleeve. And now you think I'm involved? Adrian looked shocked. No, not for even a moment. I came here tonight to make sure you were safe. Safe? Emily whispered. From what? He paused, then spoke with heavy sincerity. From them. Anyone who knows you warned me. Emily's throat dried. But why would anyone care about a café girl? Adrian leaned forward, his voice dropping low. Because Emily, you do not understand what you are yet. But others might. The night breeze swept through the alley. Emily felt a cold pull in her chest. What am I? She whispered. Adrian watched her for a long moment, as if trying to see something hidden in her eyes. That, he said softly, is what I intend to find out. The next day, Emily woke up earlier than usual, her head spinning from everything Adrian had told her. The memory of his voice, calm but heavy, repeated in her mind. Humans cannot smell ashroot. You are not normal. What are you? Emily stared at her hands, turning them over, searching for anything strange. Nothing. No magic. No glowing. No signs. But a hollow feeling lingered beneath her ribs. When her shift at the café began that evening, Emily did everything she could to act normal. She served customers, wiped tables, made drinks, and even laughed at a joke someone told. But every time the door opened, she flinched. Was Adrian showing up? Was someone else watching her? By 11:05 p.m., her breath was uneven. By 11:06 p.m., her fingers shook. By 11:07 p.m., the doorbell chimed. Adrian walked in. Tonight, he looked even more mysterious. His coat was black, long and elegant. His hair seemed darker. And his eyes, those steel-gray eyes, landed on Emily instantly. He approached the counter slowly. "Emily," he greeted softly. "Hi," she said, voice small. "Do you want to order something?" He shook his head. "I'm not here for a drink tonight." Emily felt Megan watching them curiously from the kitchen. "Let's talk outside," Adrian said. Emily hesitated. "Is it dangerous?" "For you?" Adrian asked. "No." For a reason she couldn't explain, she believed him. She told Megan she was stepping out for a quick break, then followed Adrian to the back alley again. Tonight, the moonlight struck him just right, making him appear both unreal and strangely beautiful. Adrian turned toward her, expression serious. "Emily," he began slowly, "there is something I need to check." She swallowed nervously. "Check what?" He took a gentle step closer. "Your blood." Emily froze. "My blood?" "Yes." Fear spiked, but Adrian lifted both hands slowly. "I will not hurt you," he said firmly. "I'm not giving you a bite," she whispered. His eyes softened. "I would never bite you without your will. That is not what I'm asking." He reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver blade. Emily stepped back. Adrian stopped immediately. His voice turned gentle. "A tiny drop. No more. I need to see something. It might explain why you sensed the poison." Her chest tightened. She didn't know why, but something inside her whispered, "Do it. Trust him." "Just one drop?" she asked shakily. "Just one," he promised. Emily hesitated, then slowly extended her hand. Adrian moved closer, his cool fingers brushing hers gently. It was such a small touch, but her heart jumped as if she had been shocked. "This will sting for only a second," Adrian murmured. He pressed the blade lightly against her fingertip. Tiny prick. A single drop of blood welled up. Adrian lifted it gently with his fingertips. And then, the world seemed to stop. Her blood shimmered. Not bright, not glowing like a lamp, but faintly, softly, with a pale golden spark like moonlight trapped in liquid. Emily gasped. What is happening?" Adrian inhaled sharply, his expression changing from curiosity to awe. "It's true," he whispered. "I was right." Emily stepped back, terrified. "What's wrong with me?" "Nothing is wrong," Adrian said quickly. "But this should be impossible." Emily shook her head. "Tell me what it means." Adrian met her eyes with a seriousness that made her knees weak. "You are not just a human, Emily Reed. What am I then?" He closed his fist gently around the shimmering drop of blood. "You are a seraph-marked human. Your blood carries a rare energy." Emily stared at him, breath shallow. "Energy? Like magic?" Adrian nodded. "The kind that can sense danger, even when you do not understand it." Emily shook. "I'm nobody. I'm just a café worker. I grew up in a normal house, went to a normal school. I'm not some chosen person with glowing blood." Adrian stepped close and placed a hand on her shoulder. Not forceful, not commanding, just steady. "You don't have to believe in destiny for destiny to believe in you," he said softly. Emily felt tears burn in her eyes. "So what does this mean? What happens to me now?" Adrian looked conflicted, a rare vulnerability in his eyes. "It means," he said carefully, "you are valuable, and dangerous people will want you." Emily's breath hitched. "But I don't want this." "I know," Adrian whispered. "Can't I just pretend I'm normal?" "No." "Why not?" He looked at her like he wished he could lie, but couldn't. "Because your blood can change the future of vampires. And someone already tried to kill me using poison meant for beings connected to your kind." Emily covered her face with her hands, shaking. "This is too much. I can't do this." Adrian gently lowered her hands. You can. And you won't be alone. Her voice broke. Why are you helping me? Adrian's eyes softened in a way that made her heart ache. Because you saved my life, he whispered. And because I owe you more than you know. Emily swallowed hard. Are you going to protect me? Adrian's voice dropped to a vow-like tone. I will protect you with everything I have. Emily's breath trembled. Why? She whispered. You barely know me. Adrian looked at her as if the answer was obvious. Because Emily Reed. Fate does not bring people together without reason. The moonlight glowed between them, and for the first time, Emily felt the world shift, like she had stepped into a story she was always meant to be part of. Emily didn't go straight home. She couldn't. Her head was spinning, her heart racing, and her mind heavy with Adrian's words. You are seraph marked. You are valuable. Dangerous people will want you. She walked beside Adrian in silence, both of them moving down the quiet streets under the dim glow of streetlights. The town felt different tonight, colder, darker, as if the night itself was watching them. Adrian walked a step ahead, alert, his senses sharp like a guard dog. Every time a leaf rustled or a shadow shifted, his head turned instantly. After several minutes of silence, Emily finally whispered, Are you sure the shimmering in my blood wasn't your imagination? Adrian glanced at her. Vampires do not imagine things, Emily. Well, maybe it was a trick of the light. No, his tone was gentle but firm. Your blood carries a trace of celestial energy. It reacts under moonlight. That is not normal. Emily hugged her arms. I don't want to be different. Adrian stopped walking and turned to face her. His voice softened. Being different does not make you wrong. Or broken. Emily looked away. But Adrian stepped closer, carefully, as if giving her time to pull back. Emily, he said quietly, I know what it feels like to wish you were normal. She frowned. How could you know? Adrian's expression tightened. He looked away for a moment. Because I was not born a vampire, he said slowly. I was made one. Emily blinked. Made. He nodded. Against my will. Her breath softened. I'm sorry. You do not need to be, Adrian replied. But understand this. Being different does not make you less human. It only makes you more aware of the world others ignore. Emily stared at him for a long moment. Something about his voice made her chest ache. There was loneliness in it. Pain. But before she could respond, Adrian's head snapped to the side. Emily stiffened. What is it? He held up a hand. Stay close. The street was quiet. Too quiet. Soft shuffling noise. Emily turned slowly. A figure stood at the far end of the street. Not walking. Not moving. Just standing there. Watching. A chill slithered down her spine. Adrian, she whispered. I see him, Adrian said, stepping slightly in front of her. The figure stepped into the light. He looked human, tall, wearing a dark coat, head tilted unnaturally as if studying them like prey. Emily's heart jumped. Who is that? Adrian's jaw clenched. Not human. The figure's head twitched in a sharp, unnatural motion. Emily gasped. Oh God! Adrian moved closer to her. Do not run. It will chase. Emily grabbed his coat sleeve tightly. What does it want? You. Or rather, your blood. Emily's knees nearly gave out. The figure suddenly let out a screech, high-pitched, sharp, and inhuman. Then it charged toward them. Emily, behind me, Adrian ordered. But Emily couldn't move. Her legs were frozen in fear. The creature lunged. And Adrian moved faster than her eyes could follow. One moment he was beside her. The next, he was in front of her, tackling the thing into the wall. A sickening crack echoed through the street. The creature snarled, swinging its claws at Adrian's face. But Adrian dodged like a shadow, grabbed its arm, and drove it into the pavement. Emily covered her mouth, trembling. Adrian growled. You dare hunt her? The creature hissed. Seraph, blood ours. Adrian's eyes flashed a dangerous silver. Not tonight. He twisted sharply. The creature crumpled to the ground, motionless. Emily's breath shook wildly. Is it dead? Adrian wiped a smear of black blood from his cheek. No, he said, chest rising with controlled breaths. But it will not wake for hours. Emily stumbled backward, her entire body trembling. Adrian rushed to her side instantly. Emily, he said softly, look at me. I was almost. You were not, Adrian cut in gently. I would never let anything touch you. Emily met his eyes and felt her fear shatter into tears. Adrian brushed her hair back, his touch gentle despite the battle seconds ago. You are safe, he whispered. As long as I am here, you are safe. Emily's tears spilled over. She leaned forward slightly, just enough for her forehead to touch his chest. Adrian froze. Then very slowly, he wrapped his arms around her. It wasn't a romantic embrace. It was protective, reassuring, warm despite the cold night. Emily whispered into his coat. Why is this happening to me? Because fate is cruel, Adrian said softly. But I will not let it break you. For a long moment they stood there, a trembling girl, and a vampire king, in the middle of a quiet street, with shadows watching from every corner. But the shadows did not dare approach. Not while Adrian Thorne held her. Emily didn't go straight home. She couldn't. Her head was spinning, her heart racing, and her mind heavy with Adrian's words. You are seraph marked. You are valuable. Dangerous people will want you. She walked beside Adrian in silence, both of them moving down the quiet streets under the dim glow of streetlights. The town felt different tonight, colder, darker, as if the night itself was watching them. Adrian walked a step ahead, alert, his senses sharp like a guard dog. Every time a leaf rustled or a shadow shifted, his head turned instantly. After several minutes of silence, Emily finally whispered, Are you sure the shimmering in my blood wasn't your imagination? Adrian glanced at her. Vampires do not imagine things, Emily. Well, maybe it was a trick of the light. No, his tone was gentle but firm. Your blood carries a trace of celestial energy. It reacts under moonlight. That is not normal. Emily hugged her arms. I don't want to be different. Adrian stopped walking and turned to face her. His voice softened. Being different does not make you wrong. Or broken. Emily looked away. But Adrian stepped closer, carefully, as if giving her time to pull back. Emily, he said quietly, I know what it feels like to wish you were normal. She frowned. How could you know? Adrian's expression tightened. He looked away for a moment. Because I was not born a vampire, he said slowly. I was made one. Emily blinked. Made. He nodded. Against my will. Her breath softened. I'm sorry. You do not need to be, Adrian replied. But understand this. Being different does not make you less human. It only makes you more aware of the world others ignore. Emily stared at him for a long moment. Something about his voice made her chest ache. There was loneliness in it. Pain. But before she could respond, Adrian's head snapped to the side. Emily stiffened. What is it? He held up a hand. Stay close. The street was quiet. Too quiet. Soft shuffling noise. Emily turned slowly. A figure stood at the far end of the street. Not walking. Not moving. Just standing there. Watching. A chill slithered down her spine. Adrian, she whispered. I see him, Adrian said, stepping slightly in front of her. The figure stepped into the light. He looked human, tall, wearing a dark coat, head tilted unnaturally as if studying them like prey. Emily's heart jumped. Who is that? Adrian's jaw clenched. Not human. The figure's head twitched in a sharp, unnatural motion. Emily gasped. Oh God! Adrian moved closer to her. Do not run. It will chase. Emily grabbed his coat sleeve tightly. What does it want? You. Us. Or rather, your blood. Emily's knees nearly gave out. The figure suddenly let out a screech, high-pitched, sharp, and inhuman. Then it charged toward them. Emily, behind me, Adrian ordered. But Emily couldn't move. Her legs were frozen in fear. The creature lunged. And Adrian moved faster than her eyes could follow. One moment he was beside her. The next, he was in front of her, tackling the thing into the wall. A sickening crack echoed through the street. The creature snarled, swinging its claws at Adrian's face. But Adrian dodged like a shadow, grabbed its arm, and drove it into the pavement. Emily covered her mouth, trembling. Adrian growled. You dare hunt her? The creature hissed. Seraph, blood ours. Adrian's eyes flashed a dangerous silver. Not tonight. He twisted sharply. The creature crumpled to the ground, motionless. Emily's breath shook wildly. Is it dead? Adrian wiped a smear of black blood from his cheek. No, he said, chest rising with controlled breaths. But it will not wake for hours. Emily stumbled backward, her entire body trembling. Adrian rushed to her side instantly. Emily, he said softly, look at me. I was almost. You were not, Adrian cut in gently. I would never let anything touch you. Emily met his eyes and felt her fear shatter into tears. Adrian brushed her hair back. His touch gentle despite the battle seconds ago. You are safe, he whispered. As long as I am here, you are safe. Emily's tears spilled over. She leaned forward slightly, just enough for her forehead to touch his chest. Adrian froze. Then very slowly, he wrapped his arms around her. It wasn't a romantic embrace. It was protective, reassuring, warm despite the cold night. Emily whispered into his coat. Why is this happening to me? Because fate is cruel, Adrian said softly. But I will not let it break you. For a long moment they stood there. A trembling girl. And a vampire king. In the middle of a quiet street. With shadows watching from every corner. But the shadows did not dare approach. Not while Adrian Thorne held her. The night was too quiet. Emily felt it the moment she stepped into Adrian's mansion. The halls, usually filled with a gentle hum of energy, like the walls themselves whispered secrets, were silent. Adrian walked ahead of her, but something in the way his shoulders tensed made her uneasy. Is everything okay? She asked softly. He didn't answer immediately. He pushed open the door to the lounge and finally turned to her. His eyes were darker than usual, almost black. His skin was paler. And there was something else, a thickness in the air, a pressure that made Emily swallow hard. I'll be honest, Adrian said finally. I need to rest. Tonight has been difficult. Emily nodded. Because of those men following us earlier? Yes, he said, but his voice sounded strained. But also because I haven't fed. Her breath hitched. She tried to stay calm, but her heartbeat jumped, and he heard it. His gaze flicked to her throat before he quickly looked away. I'm fine, he said sharply, too quickly. He wasn't. He moved across the room with stiff steps, like he was fighting something inside himself. He leaned against the wall, eyes shut, breathing hard. Emily's worry grew. Adrian, you don't look okay. He let out a laugh that didn't sound like him. I'm not. I was wounded earlier tonight. That dagger one of the assassins used was coated with something similar to the ashroot they gave me at the café. My body is healing slowly. And the hunger is making it worse. He wasn't scaring her. She was scared for him. Then feed, she said simply. His eyes snapped open. Not from you. I didn't offer myself, she said quickly, hands up. I just meant, anyone, anything. There's nothing stocked. I haven't needed blood in months. I'm more powerful than most vampires. Hunger barely touches me. His jaw tightened. But tonight it does. Emily hesitated, then took a careful step closer. How bad is it? Adrian's eyes darkened even more until they were almost pure shadow. Bad enough that you should stop coming closer. Emily paused. He was trembling. Adrian Thorne, the cold, elegant vampire king who always had perfect control, was shaking like a man on the edge of breaking. A deep rumble of pain escaped his throat. "I can't," he said and grabbed the back of a chair, fingers digging into the wood so hard it cracked. Emily's heart dropped. "Then let me help." He laughed again, breathless. "You helping me would be the most dangerous thing you've ever done." "I trust you," she said softly. His head snapped toward her. "Don't. Not tonight." Emily took another step. "Adrian, what do you need from me right now?" He opened his mouth, but another voice cut through the mansion, echoing from outside. "Adrian Thorne. Face me." Emily froze. Adrian straightened, fury slicing across his face. He disappeared, literally vanished, reappearing near the window. "Stay here," he ordered. But Emily rushed to his side and looked outside. Several dark shapes moved across the courtyard. At least 5 men, each holding weapons that glowed faint red. They were vampires but different, more vicious, less controlled. "Rogues," Adrian growled. Emily grabbed his arm. "You're wounded. And hungry. Which makes me more dangerous," he replied. "And more capable of killing them quickly." Before she could argue again, he blurred into the night. Emily ran downstairs and peered out the front doors. The courtyard looked like a scene from a nightmare. The moon was red, clouds circling it like smoke. Adrian fought with unnatural speed, but even Emily could see he was weakening. One of the rogues stabbed him from behind, in the same spot he'd been wounded earlier. Adrian fell to one knee. "No," Emily whispered. Without thinking, she ran outside. "Emily, get back," Adrian shouted. But one of the rogues grabbed her by the hair and yanked her back. "Pretty little girl," he hissed. "You're the human the king is protecting." Emily kicked wildly, landing a blow to his stomach. He only laughed. Adrian roared, truly roared, and the air shook. He snapped the rogue's arm, then tore through him with terrifying speed. The others attacked at once, but Adrian moved like a dark storm, fueled not by strength but by rage. When the last one fell, Adrian collapsed to his knees. Emily rushed to him. "Adrian! Adrian!" He looked up at her, and Emily froze. His eyes were now pure black. His fangs were fully extended. "Emily," he rasped. "Get back." She cupped his face. "No. Look at me. You said you can control it." He grabbed her wrists. Too fast, too strong. "I can't control anything right now." His breath hit her skin. His forehead pressed against her collarbone. He was losing himself. "Emily," he whispered, voice shaking. "I don't want to hurt you." She didn't move. She didn't scream. She didn't even breathe. She just whispered. "Then don't." Adrian's body shook violently. He dropped her wrists and dug his fingers into the dirt, fighting with everything inside him. Emily put her hand on his cheek. "Adrian, look at me." Slowly, painfully, he did. And somehow, seeing her face, the fear, the kindness, the stubborn courage, pulled him back. His eyes flickered between black and silver. She touched the side of his face lightly. "Come back to me." Something in him cracked, and the black faded. Adrian fell into her arms, broken, trembling, exhausted. Emily held him, even though he was covered in blood and his fangs were still out. They stayed like that until he could breathe again. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "You're the first person in centuries I've almost lost control with." Emily swallowed. "But you didn't." He looked at her with something between fear and awe. "No," he said softly. "Because you stopped me." The sky above them shifted from red to calm moonlight. Emily didn't know it yet. But this moment, this night, changed everything. The next morning, Emily woke up on a velvet couch in Adrian's study. Her body ached from running and falling, But the real pain was seeing him like that. Wounded, trembling, desperate. She sat up slowly and looked around. Adrian stood by the fireplace, wearing a dark shirt loosely buttoned. He looked tired, almost human. "You're awake," he said quietly. "Are you okay?" she asked, sitting up quickly. He nodded once. "I'm healing. Slowly, but I'll be fine." Emily stood and walked toward him. "You were out of control last night. I've never seen you like that." Adrian exhaled deeply. "You should have stayed inside." "You were dying," Emily said, placing a hand over her chest. "I wasn't going to watch that happen." He looked away, staring into the fire. "This is why I didn't want you involved. My world isn't gentle. It isn't patient. It isn't safe. But I'm already involved," she replied gently. He inhaled sharply, almost like her words cut him. After a long silence, he motioned her to follow him. "I need to show you something." They walked down a long hallway Emily had never seen before. The air grew colder, thicker. At the end of the hall stood a door covered in carvings. Adrian pushed it open, revealing a room filled with old books, glass cases, and ancient scrolls. A library, but not a normal one. More like a hidden archive. "What is this?" Emily asked. "This," Adrian said, "is where we keep our history." He opened a wooden chest and pulled out a scroll wrapped in gold-threaded cloth. He unrolled it on the table. The old parchment showed two figures, Vampire King, and a woman with glowing blood. Emily felt her heart pound. "That looks," she whispered. "Yes," Adrian finished for her. "It looks like you." He pointed at the glowing markings around the woman's wrists. Emily lifted her sleeve instinctively. Her skin looked normal, but she knew. Under moonlight she glowed. "What does it mean?" she whispered. Adrian leaned forward. "It means you're not just a seraph-marked human. You're something rarer. Something ancient." He touched the drawing gently. "You are a blood oracle." Emily blinked. "What does that even mean?" He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "A blood oracle's blood can do one of two things," he said slowly. "It can destroy a vampire completely, or make him unstoppable." Emily felt her stomach drop. "So my blood could kill you?" "Yes. And it could also empower you." "Yes." Emily took a step back. "I don't want either of those things." "I know," Adrian murmured. She studied the scroll again. The painted woman looked powerful, but also terrified. Her face looked like someone carrying too much. Emily whispered, "I don't want this destiny." Adrian's expression softened for the first time since she'd met him. "Destiny doesn't ask what we want." "Then I don't want destiny," she snapped, tears filling her eyes. "I want my life back. I want to go to work and make coffee and complain about customers. I want to be normal." He stepped closer. "Emily." "No," she said, shaking her head. "I'm not special. I'm not chosen. I don't want to be part of your world. I don't want any of this." She turned away, wiping her tears angrily. Adrian stayed silent. Then he spoke with a voice softer than she'd ever heard from him. "Emily, if I could take this burden from you, I would." She looked back at him, surprised by the sincerity in his eyes. "But this is why someone tried to poison me," he continued. "This is why you're being hunted. You're the key to a prophecy they've feared for centuries." Emily's voice trembled. "What prophecy?" Adrian unrolled the bottom half of the scroll. Words written in old ink burned across the page. "The blood oracle will rise when the king is most vulnerable." Emily's chest tightened. "And what does that mean?" she asked. Adrian finally looked away. "It means someone believes you are destined to end me." Emily froze. "I don't want to end you," she whispered. He smiled sadly. "I know. But prophecy rarely cares about what we want." Emily walked toward him and grabbed his shirt lightly. "Then fight it," she said fiercely. "Fight destiny. Fight whatever this prophecy says." He looked down at her hands, small, shaking but determined. You're asking me to fight something older than my entire race, he said. Yes, Emily replied. I'm asking you to fight for yourself. Adrian stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time, truly seeing her. And then he said something that made her heart stop. No one has ever believed in me like you do. Emily swallowed hard. Then don't push me away. Adrian closed his eyes. I'm supposed to protect you. Then protect me, she whispered. But don't shut me out. He opened his eyes slowly, and she felt something shift between them. Something fragile, something powerful. All right, he said finally. I won't push you away. Emily let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. But Adrian wasn't done. He reached into the archives and pulled out a small box. Inside was a silver band. Not a ring, more like a protective bracelet. This, he said, will help hide what you are. It won't erase it. But it will keep your blood from glowing. She slid it onto her wrist. The metal warmed instantly, pulsing softly. Emily looked up at him. What now? Adrian looked toward the door, his face darkening. Now, he said quietly, we prepare. Because last night proved something I've been trying to ignore. Emily felt a chill. What did it prove? Adrian met her eyes. That the enemy has found you, and they will not stop. The café looked different when Emily stepped inside. It wasn't the furniture or the lights. Nothing had changed. But she had changed, and everything familiar now felt distant. The bell above the door chimed softly as she entered. Her hands were still trembling from the night before, though she hid them in her pockets. Her manager, Lucas Hale, stood behind the counter with his usual calm smile. Emily, he said warmly. Where have you been? You missed the morning shift. Emily forced a smile, though her heart raced. I wasn't feeling well. Lucas tilted his head. I can see that. You look pale. Sit. I'll make you something warm. She started to refuse, but he had already turned toward the machine. Her pulse jumped. Don't drink it. Don't trust anything he makes. Adrian's warning replayed in her mind. But she tried to stay calm. She couldn't accuse her manager without proof. Lucas handed her a steaming cup of tea. Lavender, he said. Your favorite. Emily wrapped her fingers around the warm cup but didn't drink. Thanks, she said and lowered it quickly. Lucas leaned against the counter, studying her. His eyes, blue, friendly, familiar, looked normal. Completely normal. But so had the rogues who attacked Adrian. Lucas, Emily began gently, do you know a lot of people come here late at night? Some of them are a bit strange. He smiled. Strange is good for business. They tip well. She laughed weakly. I mean, dangerous strange. Lucas' smile didn't fade, but something in his expression shifted. Why do you ask? Emily swallowed. Last week. Someone poisoned a drink here. He froze for a fraction of a second. Just one heartbeat, but Emily saw it. He recovered quickly. Poisoned. Here. Who said that? Emily looked down at her untouched tea. I did. I saw it. Lucas's voice softened. Emily, you've been under stress. People under stress imagine things. Don't, she said quietly. Don't treat me like I'm confused. Lucas sighed. All right. Tell me what you think you saw. Emily looked him in the eyes. Ooh. I think you slipped something into Adrian's drink. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Then Lucas's smile slowly dropped. Ah, he said softly. So he told you. Emily stepped back. Her hands shook. Lucas didn't move. He didn't threaten. He didn't shout. He just exhaled like someone who had been holding his breath for a long time. I didn't want you to find out like this, he murmured. Emily blinked. Lucas, what are you? His eyes lifted to hers and their color shifted, from blue to a dangerous red. Emily stumbled back so hard she hit a table. You're one of them, she whispered. Lucas nodded. Not just one of them. I'm older than Adrian. Older than his entire bloodline. Fear crawled up Emily's spine. Then why pretend to be human? Why work in a café? Because I was waiting, Lucas said gently. Waiting for you. Her mouth went dry. Me? Why me? Lucas stepped closer, slowly, carefully, as though she were a frightened animal. Because of what you are, he whispered. The blood oracle. Emily's stomach twisted painfully. No, I'm not special. I don't want anything to do with this. But you are special, Lucas said. Your blood can end Adrian Thorne. And the prophecy says you will. No, Emily whispered, tears filling her eyes. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want prophecy. I don't want destiny. Lucas's hand whipped out and grabbed her wrist. Emily gasped as pain flared. You don't choose destiny, he said coldly. Destiny chooses you. He dragged her toward the back door. Emily fought, kicking and pulling away, but Lucas was impossibly strong. Let go of me, she screamed. He tightened his grip. I didn't want to be rough, Lucas said. But you will help me kill Adrian, whether you want to or not. Emily's heart pounded as he shoved her into the back alley. Help, she cried. Someone. No one will hear you, Lucas said calmly. And Adrian won't get here in time. As he raised his hand to knock her unconscious, Emily screamed. But before darkness claimed her, she whispered one name. Adrian. Emily woke up to the sound of dripping water. Her head throbbed painfully. Her wrists were tied to a chair, and her legs were bound tightly. The room was cold, stone-walled, like an underground basement. Lucas stood across the room mixing something in a small bowl. Ah, he said cheerfully. You're awake. We can begin. Emily's voice shook. Begin what? Lucas held up a silver blade. Extracting your blood. Emily's heart slammed against her ribs. No, please. It's not personal, Lucas said. You're too valuable to waste. A few drops of your blood can end Adrian forever. Tears burned Emily's eyes. Why do you hate him so much? Lucas paused, expression darkening. Because Adrian took everything from me. My kingdom, my family, my power. I was meant to be the ruler. But he, a younger, undeserving boy, became king. Emily blinked through tears. Adrian doesn't want to hurt anyone. Why can't you just leave him alone? Lucas smiled sadly. Because kings don't get to choose peace, my dear. Their enemies choose for them. He stepped closer and touched the blade to her arm. Don't, Emily whispered. Lucas, please. But the door suddenly burst open. A blast of wind blew Lucas backward, smashing him into the wall. And then Adrian stood in the doorway, eyes glowing silver, anger radiating from him like fire. Let her go, Adrian growled. Lucas wiped blood from his lip and smirked. Ah, the king arrives. Adrian's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Touch her again and I will tear you apart. Lucas laughed. You're weak, Adrian. Still healing. And you won't risk hurting her. He lunged at Emily with the blade. Adrian blurred forward, tackling Lucas to the ground. The two vampires collided with inhuman force, crashing into walls, smashing furniture, moving so fast Emily could barely follow the fight. Adrian, she cried. Lucas punched him so hard Adrian staggered. Blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. You can't win, Lucas snarled. You're starving, injured, and she, he pointed at Emily, is the only weapon that can kill you. Adrian's eyes flicked toward Emily, just for a second, and Lucas used that moment to grab him by the throat and slam him into the floor. Adrian choked, struggling. Emily felt something inside her break. No, she screamed. Get off him. Lucas didn't even look at her. Stay quiet, Oracle. When I'm done with him, you're next. Adrian tried to stand, but Lucas drove the blade toward his heart. Emily did the only thing she could think of. She pulled her wrists against the ropes as hard as she could, until the skin broke and blood trickled down her arms. Her blood glowed faintly, reacting to her fear. Lucas froze. That blood, he whispered in awe. Adrian's eyes widened in horror. Emily, don't. But Lucas rushed toward her, desperate. Emily looked at Adrian, at his beaten, bloodied face, and made a choice. A choice destiny had no right to make for her. She pressed her glowing, bleeding wrist against Lucas's chest. There was a violent flash of light. Lucas screamed in agony as the glow burned through him like fire. He stumbled back, clawing at his chest as lines of white light tore through his veins. No, he shrieked. This can't. I'm stronger, I'm. His body convulsed, then collapsed to the ground. Silent. Emily's knees buckled and she fell to the floor, shaking violently. Adrian was at her side instantly. Emily, look at me, he said, cupping her face. Are you hurt? Where else are you bleeding? She looked at her glowing wrist, trembling. I killed him. Adrian shook his head. You defended yourself. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I didn't want to. I never wanted to hurt anyone. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. You didn't choose this. You did what you had to do. Emily sobbed into his chest, her body shaking with fear, shock, grief. Adrian, she whispered, I'm scared. I don't want this power. I don't want destiny. I just want to be normal again. He rested his forehead against hers. His voice was low, steady, deeply sincere. You are not alone. Not anymore. I swear to you, Emily. Your blood is mine to protect. Your heart is mine to earn. I will fight destiny itself before I let it take you from me. Emily cried harder, not out of fear this time but relief. Adrian lifted her gently and carried her out of the basement. The night air was cold, but his arms were warm. Where are we going? She whispered weakly. Home, he said. Yours or mine. He kissed the top of her head softly. Ours, if you'll have it. Emily closed her eyes. And for the first time since everything began, she felt safe. If this story pulled you in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more dark romance tales. Tell me, what would you do if a vampire king walked into your cafe? Your engagement helps the channel grow, and trust me, the next story is even more intense. See you in the next chapter.